What up, everybody? Welcome into the Bourbon, Buzzed, and Ballin podcast. We are your hosts, Kolby and Dut, and this is our podcast where we talk sports and drink bourbon and just shoot the shit.
That's what we like to do.
That's it, man. We had a kind of a boring sports week, I guess, so to speak, but still a little bit of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, there's a little bit. You know, you had the divisional rounds of the NFL playoffs, and so we'll get into that. Even though I was disappointed, I thought the wild card weekend was better than the divisional rounds.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
We can dive into that, you know, when we get a little deeper into the show, because you know we like to start the show off with the opening toast.
That's right.
So let's just go ahead and
cool
kick off the opening toast. And I think we both pretty much had the same guy.
Yep.
Local guy here, soccer player, Charlotte FC defender, Anton Walks, who was 25 and died in a boating accident over the weekend. The team was down in Florida doing training. I think they were supposed to be down there 2 or 3 weeks for training camp. And so he was a passenger on an 11-foot, basically, jet ski, wave runner, whatever you want to call it. And they collided with a 46-foot cabin boat. And he was the only one that was even injured.
Right.
Unfortunately, he lost his life. But it was a female driving the personal watercraft, and she was fine, and the driver of the cabin boat was fine. So unfortunately, this young man lost his life at 25 years old, about the age of our sons. Right. So, you know, it's... And apparently he was, you know, very popular, well-liked, both in the European soccer world and here in the States.
Yeah, actually came up through the Tottenham Hotspurs, their youth league, not youth league, but they have a youth team that they bring and develop their players. So that's actually where he got his start, was with my English Premier League team that I like. So yeah, it was sad story.
Yeah, they held a celebration of life for him today, downtown Charlotte.
Right.
So that was good to see all the fans, show their love and support. So
it's a good atmosphere. I don't know if you haven't been to it.
I haven't been to one yet.
Charlotte
I've been to a soccer match, a friendly, in Charlotte, and had a good time. And I've been wanting to go see the Charlotte FC. I just haven't had a chance to go down there yet. But yeah, I would like to go see one of their games here soon. And I'll also give an update. We've been talking about Peyton Hillis the last couple of weeks, and he is out of the hospital and went home. So that's great news for Peyton. And, of course, Damar was at the game, Bills game.
Was he?
Well, there's conspiracy theorists out there to say he's not alive, which is a bunch of bullshit. But because even he was texting, clone was his one-word reply to the theorist. So yeah, good to hear that. Although they do say that Damar still has to take oxygen, so he still got a ways to go. But seems like he's in good spirits. After the game he was texting, we'll be back next year, and so
it seems to be Buffalo's theme.
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
Next year.
Yeah. Wait till next year.
Right.
You can only say that so many times.
Sounds like the Cowboys. Them boys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give an opening toast to Chris Ford.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware of that one. Boston Celtics point guard from the 70s. He actually made the first NBA 3-pointer.
Yeah, but back then it wasn't even that far.
No, I mean, still, he's credited for making the first 3-pointer. I don't care how far it is. He still played in the NBA. I didn't.
That's true.
So,
That's true. I remember Chris Ford.
Yeah,
point guard for the Celtics.
Yeah, he passed away at 74 years old. But I just thought it was notable that he was the first one to make a 3-pointer. I'm sure the Ford family would want a little bit more of a tribute than that, but that's all I got on that.
I mean, I guess you could almost say he changed the game, because now it's nothing but 3-pointers, it seems like.
Yeah, if you want to credit him with that, I guess.
And they had to keep moving the line back because, you got Steph Curry's out there that are shooting it as soon as they...
They couldn't even put a line far enough for Steph Curry. Did you see his pregame warm-up the other day? He made, I think it was 18 in a row, and that was from the free throw line, underhanded, all the way to half court and back. And it was just... And everyone, I don't think any of them hit the rim.
Yeah, he's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
He's incredible. All right, well, we'll toast Anton Walks and Mr. Chris Ford. So, and then I
don't know if I ain't got any other toast, man. Like I said, it's been kind of boring.
Yeah. Well, it's we're getting to that point in the year where you're kind of not quite as much going on out there in the sports world.
Yeah. But, we're all going to be mourning the loss of football.
Yeah.
College football loss for sure has already kicked in for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen. I didn't prepare myself. I forgot.
Got a little kick to it.
Yeah, it's a Southern Star Paragon. It's a local North Carolina distillery that I like a lot. It's a good bourbon.
And actually, I just read an article about them today. As a matter of fact, ironically, kind of an advertisement of who they were, and talking about tastings and tours that they have going on now, and so yeah.
I guess now that college football's over, we need to make our way up there.
Right, and the part of the article where it was talking about them, was talking about how a lot of what they use is locally grown by the farmers in the local area, is what goes into their bourbons.
I was in Statesville today, so I'm guessing that's where it's at.
Yeah,
I've never seen the distillery.
Yeah, yeah. If you go up 77, you'll see it from the highway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to go past 40.
Yeah, you got to go to Mount Airy, right?
It's just past. It's not that far past 40, but you do have to go up north of 40 on 77, and it sits there on the right. But yeah, they've been winning some awards at some of these shows.
I think it's good. We haven't rated it.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Did we rate Southern Star?
I think it was one of the
first ones
earliest ones we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we rated it either a 3 or 4. It rated highly for us.
It's actually there's a guy on TikTok. I can't remember his name. This guy Jeremy or whatever. He does a bourbon talk, and he does a lot of rating. And I talked to him one night and asked him if he had ever heard of Southern Star, and he hasn't. Well, Southern Star actually sent him some bourbon because he's got quite a few followers, right. And so he rated the Southern Star Paragon, and he liked it.
Actually, we have not rated it on the show yet.
I didn't think we had.
I think because the bottle was so low.
Yeah, I actually have a brand new bottle of it, so we might need to do the Southern Star lineup here soon.
Well, today I actually, I mentioned I had that bottle of Elvis, Tiger Man is what it's called, and as an ode to Lisa Marie, who
it seems fitting,
who was laid to rest this weekend. I figured we'd go ahead and do that, and then we can do that bottle of the Duke, the John Wayne, next week.
All right, the Duke.
Kind of do a little celebrity theme for the next couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. That means we might need to get Old Camp and a couple others. Isn't that Kid Rock?
No, Old Camp is Florida Georgia Line.
Oh, Florida Georgia Line.
Kid Rock's got. I can't remember.
Does he have a bourbon, or has he got a?
I can't remember.
I'm sure he's got a whiskey.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey's got one.
Which we already did that one.
Yeah. C-Dub.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that one.
Charles Woodson. I love you, Charles Woodson. I do. I love you a lot.
So, yeah, I'm drinking the Jefferson Small Batch today. So.
All right. That was a good one. It wasn't as good as the Ocean for sure, but
Yeah, and I noticed that the Voyage 28 is what's mostly on the shelves now. So we might need to get a bottle of it and try it, see how it compared to the 24. Because we really like that Voyage 24.
Yeah, the 24 was really good. Yeah, I liked it so much it's gone. I haven't finished too many bottles.
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah, but that 24 is gone.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move from the opening toast into the scumbag of the week. And I'll go ahead and get started because I know you're going to probably...
mine might be a long time.
Yours might be a long one, so...
Yeah.
The MLB is investigating Mike Clevenger. He's a pitcher for the White Sox for alleged domestic violence against the mother of his 10-year-old daughter and child abuse. So, allegedly, he choked her, slapped her, and then the child abuse is supposedly he took out some used chewing tobacco and threw it at the baby. So he's being investigated, and he's got he's got 2 other children by another woman who has alleged things, and then there's also other women along the road that have alleged things. So usually when there's that much smoke, there's usually some fire. So everybody obviously is innocent until proven guilty, but like I said, there's a lot of evidence around this one, and it's like we've mentioned multiple times. You just don't put your hands on a woman. So, and then speaking of putting your hands on a woman, there's Conor McGregor is also now going through an investigation where he supposedly punched and kicked a woman on his yacht. It was somebody that he actually kind of grew up with and knew, and they were out drinking, and she said he just flipped and just went psycho and was threatening to drown her, and she says she jumped off the yacht because she was fearing for her life.
Jumped off the yacht to get away from him.
So Mike Clevenger's my scumbag, and then dishonorable mention to Mr.
Dishonorable mention to
Mr. McGregor.
Nothing ever good comes with alcohol. You ever notice that? I mean, I'm not trying to make any statements.
Yeah, you gotta drink in moderation. You gotta drink responsibly. Nick Saban likes to say nothing good ever happens after midnight. Yeah. So when you combine
a little alcohol
and late at night, nothing good happens. I don't know if you heard about the little girl at LSU.
Mm-mm.
So she was, I think, a sophomore. So I think she was like 19 years old. Supposedly, she got so shit-faced she couldn't control. She didn't know what was going on, and so she left the bar with like 4 other kids basically, and supposedly they raped her and then dropped her off somewhere, and then she was crossing the road, and it was very dark. It was very, very dark area, and she got hit by a car and killed.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I mean, like you were saying, you gotta be careful how much you're drinking, and don't be by yourself. Have some responsible people with you. But this is, on top of all the other things that are happening.
Right.
It's
just, I kind of wish I hadn't heard that story.
Yeah, it was it was upsetting to read about it today.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, just an interesting story to tie into that one. Maybe the difference of people. When I had first graduated high school, I went back home for a weekend, and we were at a party, a couple of my friends and I, and a girl from a neighboring high school who was well known to get around, a little bit around town, and she was drunk and butt naked on the front porch, and we took her home. But the converse of the story you said, we stopped and got her a change of clothes.
Yeah, you helped her
and took her home, so at least we didn't dump her off on her dad's front doorstep, butt naked
Yeah.
and drunk. We actually took her home, got her change of clothes, so we could at least dump her out on her front porch in clothes in her dignity, somewhat. You know, I mean, that's just
you didn't take advantage of it. You tried to help.
Right, exactly. I mean,
But
that's
nowadays,
sad.
you know, and the more news came out about the Georgia accident. So apparently they were all leaving the strip club, and they haven't reported if the driver was above the legal limit, but they did report that she was driving too high of a speed for a left-hand curve, and she didn't make the turn.
Right.
And that's when she went off the embankment, hit a couple of power lines, and so she was driving. The guy that died was sitting behind her. He wasn't in the front seat. He was behind her, and he didn't have his seatbelt on. So, and then the other girl, the other staffer, she was in the rear passenger side. She didn't have her seatbelt on. And then the one guy that all he got was the stitches, he was in the front passenger seat. And I'm assuming he must have had his seatbelt on. And that must have been what saved him.
Wow.
But, it's unfortunate, and, it's the world we live in today.
Crazy.
All that shit going on out in California with 70-year-old men going on mass shootings. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it sounds like we're turning into a news.
I know.
A newscast.
Well, that's
I don't even turn on the news anymore because it's so depressing.
It is.
Our podcast is now becoming depressing. Let's get off. Let's move on.
Well, we are on the scumbag portion of the.
That's right. We're on the scumbag. Speaking of scumbag,
who is your scumbag?
My scumbag of the week's gonna be the NCAA, the governing body.
Do they still exist?
Exactly. Where have they been? I mean, you don't even hear from them anymore because, quite frankly, nobody really respects them.
Right.
Nobody cares nothing about the NCAA anymore. It's a dying office. I meant to research, financial composition for these clowns, and that's what I'm gonna call them, a bunch of scumbag clowns, because they're just basically wasting time. I mean, the NCAA is going away, but here's my specific reason. Number one is they brought up these allegations against the University of Michigan, which basically a couple of them are self-reported anyway, which almost every university has some self-reported minor violations throughout the year,
absolutely.
Specifically in the off season. But so the NCAA has found it upon themselves to launch an investigation against Michigan about making illegal contact with a recruit or two during the dead period during COVID, which
I'm sure they weren't the only ones that did that.
Right. COVID ruined everything, but that's a political discussion. Michigan had an analyst or two that actually was on a practice field or in the practice facility actually helping the student athlete get better at whatever they're doing, but you can't do that. And then, of course, they're claiming that Harbaugh is basically impeding the investigation, which we all know Jim Harbaugh is a little bit of a nut job in himself, so I could see him being sarcastic, kind of like I'm presenting this case sarcastically, because I mean, then on the other hand, you have what's going on down in Florida with this 4-star quarterback recruit who's asked for a release from his commitment because
his $13 million deal fell through.
$13 million bag didn't show up on his doorstep. Now, I'm not going to say that that's University of Florida's fault, and it's certainly not the coach's fault, because there are extenuating circumstances outside of these programs because of the legalities of NIL. But at the same time, somebody has promised this kid a big payout, which is probably why he decommitted from Miami, went to Florida,
right,
And now, you know, they're backing out now that he's committed to Florida and say, hey, I'm sorry, but, you know, we might be able to get you 13 grand.
Right.
But not 13 million.
Well, and you know, I know you weren't trying to go down the NIL road, but the NIL was created so that EA Sports can't use a player's, you know, you're sitting there playing NCAA football on Xbox, and you know it's
right.
Derrick Henry. I'll just use his name because it's big, tall running back that's running over everybody. So you know it's Derrick Henry.
Right.
You can even type it in and name him Derrick Henry. But Derrick Henry wasn't seeing a penny off of all that money that EA Sports was making.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Leonard Fournette, when he was at LSU, he wanted to sell some T-shirts with his logo on it. Nope, you can't do that. Well, that's his name. So that's what name, image, likeness was supposed to be. Is so that that the universities or the NCAA can't control that person's name, image, and likeness. You know. So, but now it's gotten to where it's legalized. You know. To you don't have to pay under the table anymore. You just put it out in the open.
Oh yeah, and you can start promising these kids money before they've even stepped foot on your campus, which is, you know, doesn't surprise me that here in the United States we would take something that actually had a great start, but it just had zero guidelines. It came so fast that there's just no guidance on it, and now, you know, of course, the alums, not necessarily always alums either, just the rich donors that support these programs that want to see them win on the football field are willing to do anything and everything to bring them in onto campus.
But how many quarterbacks rated 4 and 5 stars don't even pan out or get a start, and you're going to commit $13 million?
Exactly. Look at Jimbo's class last year.
Yeah, now they're all bailing.
They're all bailing on him, and not very many of them even contributed. I mean, it's out of hand. It's out of hand. But that, you know, that's my scumbag is the NCAA, because they act like they care, but they don't. They've never given a shit about the student athlete ever. They put in some flimsy, you know, practice requirements back in the mid-90s, where they started to eliminate some of the excessive practice times, but
they're trying to keep everything, you know, as far as you can't have but 20 coaches on the field. You know, they're trying to keep things level where you got Alabama who could afford to put 40 out there on the field. And then you're getting more one-to-one and more, you know.
The old analyst position.
Exactly. And so I kind of get that you can only have so many coaching on the field, because you got other schools that can't afford to have that many people on staff. So
but at the same time, I mean, how many schools can afford bags of cash? You know, everybody's going to find a way.
Well, there again, that's not the way that NIL was supposed. It's supposed to be that if that kid went out and made that, and somebody wanted to hire him for a commercial or sign some autographs,
put him on a camel to, you know, talk about a used car lot, aka Rod Tidwell. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I ain't getting on no camel.
So those are the things that, you know, because it really wasn't even intended for. It was supposed to be kids that were already had already played in college football, not coming out of high school. Right.
Name, image, and likeness is because you've been here, you've established a, you know, track record of success playing, and so now we're going to reward you. You know, you can go around and sign autographs. You can go to these card shows.
Right.
And do stuff like that. It's not, hey, here's a big bag of cash because we think you're going to be good.
Right.
Sign with us. That's just ridiculous.
Or sell a jersey with your name and number on it.
Right.
You know, just like they do in the NFL.
Right. This was the whole thing Coach Saban was talking about when he made the comments last offseason that were directed towards Jimbo and Primetime.
Yeah.
You know, that's not how it was intended.
You're not supposed to be just buying players. It's supposed to be their way of making money off of what they've done, what they've accomplished.
So the NCAA needs to get involved and get involved in doing some real stuff, like getting in and putting in some real restrictions and guidelines on the NIL, which is clearly the most important topic in all of college football right now, because our game is changing for the worse right in front of us.
I mean, you got unengaged players, during the week in practice or even on the games, because they're too worried about trying to make that hustle,
get paid,
and make some money, and it's like you said, it's completely changed the game, and
it has. It's scary, as much importance as it is to a lot of people, and me included. I mean, college football, I live for the start of the season, and I obviously love the recruiting portion as well. And all this NIL talk is it's really ruining the game. Unfortunately, I honestly didn't think it would. I was kind of arguing against it early on. And, I've been wrong, because I really do see that it's.
Well, and not to sound like a homer, but Alabama is really trying to be at the forefront of this NIL, and they're dedicating a whole hub to NIL, and they've got a 15-year agreement with Learfield, who is to try and get these kids, making money off of their name, image, and likeness.
And teaching them.
Right. And then at the stadium, they've got an NIL store set up, and you can go in there and buy Bryce Young's jersey.
Right.
And then they even sometimes we'll have autograph signings when you can go in there and get an autograph from these different players. So that's really using your name, image, and likeness to make money, which is what it was intended for. So I think Nick is really trying. He was the first one to do this hub. He was the first one to do the NIL store, and it's in conjunction with Fanatics.
Yeah.
And so then, anytime that a T-shirt is sold with Will Anderson's name and number on it, Will gets a piece of that profit. So that's what it was intended for, and hopefully they can put some structure around it, and that's where it goes in the long run, not just, hey, come play for us and we'll give you $13 million.
Right. Get off of these little violations. Put some real meat to this discussion and start getting the NIL under control. I think we would all
and they did.
That.
I can't remember his name, but it was like a former governor or senator of Massachusetts or Connecticut or somewhere up in the Northeast that is going to be the new president of the NCAA. So maybe he can get some things under control. We'll see.
He better. We'll be out of a job soon.
Yeah. Or there will be no NCAA.
Right. That's kind of where it's headed, really, and they don't really doesn't appear to have any authority.
No, I was just about to say, Greg Sankey, the president of the SEC, is more powerful and influential than whoever the outgoing president of the NCAA is. I couldn't even tell you his name.
There's two the Big Ten commissioner too.
He just took a job.
Yeah, as soon as they find a new one, I mean, he's going to be. Both of those two are easily.
Lions?
No, he went to the Bears.
The Bears.
He's the president of the Bears.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those NFC North teams.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my scumbag, man. That's a worthy scumbag. I hate the NCAA. Governing body, to be honest.
They're another one of these that could be the scumbag every week. And I almost I don't know if you heard about Shannon Sharp at the Lakers game.
I did.
I almost was. I was kind of torn between who I was going to make my scumbag this week when I saw the news on Connor and saw the news on Shannon Sharp, but when I got digging deeper on this whole Clevenger issue and him throwing his used tobacco at a 10-month-old baby and repeatedly has laid hands on women, allegedly, I had to go with him because you know how I feel about that. But you had Shannon Sharp, who's basically my age, heckling from the front row at the Lakers game. And he's trying to pick fights with Ja Morant, Ja's father, and
right.
Just it just kept escalating. They actually removed him at one point and took him back in the tunnel. And I guess he kind of calmed down and explained his side of things. Then, of course, you got Magic Johnson and LeBron coming out to support Shannon Sharp.
Oh, Shannon?
Yeah, like, oh yeah, that's my boy. So I was like, man, I'm not gonna make Shannon my scumbag because, I mean, yeah, you're a little old to be heckling, and you probably didn't like it when you were playing.
Right, you would think you would have firsthand knowledge of being heckled by a fan.
And he did backtrack and said, hey, I got to control my emotions, but he was like cussing them all out and be like, you don't want none of this, come on. You know, he was trying to start fights. So,
I was at the Clemson Miami game at the end of the season this past year, and I was sitting in the Miami family section, and I was actually sitting like 3 rows behind Mario Cristobal's brother, and I believe who played for the Giants.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, but there was a Miami Hurricane fan just giving Mario Cristobal everything he could, and it was embarrassing.
Well, yeah, that's a whole lot of scumbagging going on this week. So let's get off of that subject and let's move on to coming in hot and
Let's do it.
talk about the NFL playoffs from this past weekend. And like I mentioned in the opening, I actually thought the games were better wild card weekend. Lot more competitive games.
Yeah, because even some of those games where the scores ended up,
like the
kind of close.
Yeah, the Chiefs and the Jags.
I mean, you still never felt like the Chiefs were struggling, even though you had Mahomes in and out mostly, but
the Jags, the Jags scored with like 30 seconds left to make it a one score game. It really never was a one score game.
No.
The Bengals, which you called it last week.
Yeah, I mean the Bengals, but you could tell that the Bills were just I don't know if it was the DeMar Hamlin thing or Josh Allen struggles down the stretch. Mm-hmm. But you could just see that the Bills were not the Bills.
Yeah.
And Cincy has gotten better and better and better and better, and I'm willing to bet that Joe Burrow is quite possibly top 2 QB and currely in the NFL. He's cool.
He's impressed. He was missing half his offensive line.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And no, he's.
Even last year he was getting pummeled. Yeah. By his offensive line.
Stands in there and delivers.
Yeah, no, he's the real deal, man.
Well, even Chase, Jamar, before the game was like, my quarterback is better than Josh Allen. He's an all-around quarterback. And, he was just, a lot of people were kind of like, raising their eyes a little bit. But after the game, it sure looked like it. I think, with a banged-up Mahomes next weekend, you got to think the Bengals are the favorite.
Yeah, I would think so. I'm going to pick them. Just based on the Mahomes injury. I know Patrick says he's going to be fine and going to play.
Yeah, but a high ankle sprain. Yeah. It's one thing to continue playing in that game when it happened because you still got a lot of adrenaline going. You haven't took that shoe off yet.
Right.
You just slap a little tape on it. Yeah, but you could tell he was throwing off the wrong foot.
Sure.
Some of his throws.
And Patrick Mahomes, makes his living off schedule.
Oh yeah. So if anybody can do it, it'd be him.
Yeah, but he makes so many. He varies his arm angles. Mm-hmm. Which then has to have footwork to make that happen. And I can't see it. I can't see it.
Well, one thing, getting back to the Bills and the Bengals, the Bills, the reason that we picked them at the beginning of the year was they signed Von Miller as the missing piece to have that elite pass rusher, and they lose him to injury. Mm-hmm. So, that was all for naught. And, They just did not look good.
No, the
Bengals.
Well, they just struggled down the stretch in general. You know, they didn't. I mean, Josh Allen's turning the ball over, and you know he's still an elite talent for sure. But you know, Stephon Diggs getting frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a good look. Even though you know Josh Allen's been carrying that organization for a few years. But,
Right.
But still, I mean, Cincinnati just looks strong, man. I did blow. I really felt like Dallas was playing, man. I thought Dallas was playing good, and I thought maybe, just maybe, Dak would put his big game problems behind him, but nope.
Well, how about
Nope.
How about that first extra point?
Yeah.
Because you even asked me last week's show. So when Dallas scores, what do they do? I said, we got to try the extra point.
No, I should have gone for 2. Of course, he made a couple field goals.
He was 0 for 1 on his extra point. Of course, it was blocked, but the camera angle looked like even if it wasn't blocked, he wasn't making it.
Nah, he was still scared going into it.
But then he hit a couple of clutch field goals to keep them in the game. So
yeah, but even as close as that game was, you never really felt like San Francisco was. I mean, they felt like they were in control the whole time to me.
Right.
I mean, I never. And I'm not jumping on the Purdy wagon.
No, I mean they're not winning because of him.
Right. Yeah, but that definitely, San Fran was in control the whole time.
And I think you mentioned Purdy. I think next week is when the luck runs out. I think the Eagles, their talent level on both sides of the ball. San Fran and Philly both have elite defenses.
Right.
So the difference is Philly's offense.
Yeah.
And Jalen looked healthy enough to be a dual threat.
Yeah.
I thought the Giants might have a chance if Jalen was one-dimensional. But Jalen wasn't one-dimensional. They had to respect it, and that really opened up the running lanes, and it really exposed the talent disparity between the Eagles and the Giants.
Yeah, because, I was having conversations with somebody, and he was trying to put that all on Daniel Jones. And
Nah.
I was like, that wasn't really on Daniel Jones didn't give up 38 points.
Nah.
I mean.
And he was running for his life the whole
right.
game.
He had 0.
The Eagles pass rush, they don't have that one elite rusher.
No,
They've got
but
4 that are all in double digits.
You're getting pressure from the outside on both sides with the Eagles.
Yeah.
You got a 40-year-old Brandon Graham.
He had 11, I think, this year.
Yes, he did.
11 or 11 and a half, maybe.
Yeah, well, I know he had over 10.
It was over 10.
It was over 10.
You called that one, too.
Called that one.
But, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're getting good pressure from Brandon Graham and Reddick, who the Panthers gave up on. I mean, and Jordan Davis in the middle. I mean, the Eagles are scary. And to be honest with you,
their secondary too.
Yeah,
with Slay and Bradbury.
Yeah, Bradbury, man, I don't understand why teams give up on him the way they do.
The Giants had to. They had no choice. They had to get out from his salary.
I guess that he's like that hired gun salary, because the Panthers had to ship him.
Well, I think the Panthers.
I feel like the Panthers gave up on him.
I think they just didn't re-sign him, and the Giants signed him to that huge free agency contract, and then they were, we had to shed money, or we weren't even able to sign our rookie draft picks, so he was the casualty.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, it wasn't for a lack of talent or anything like that.
Yeah, it just seems like nobody. I mean, everybody thinks he's good, and his on-field play is equal to that. So, it just seems like everyone kind of just ships him out and gives up on him, and he's a key cog to every team he plays on.
All right, so the big debate online on social media is who gets to claim Jalen Hurts. Alabama or Oklahoma.
All right, I got the answer to that question. So obviously both can lay claim to Jalen, but for anybody, and Alabama fans are getting ridiculed for this, but I mean, number one, how many games did Jalen win at either school? How many national championships did Jalen win at Oklahoma?
Right.
How many? Where's his diploma on the wall say?
Right. Well, you know, they try to make the comparison to a Russell Wilson. You know, NC State can't claim Russell Wilson. No, they can't because he didn't do anything at NC State.
Right.
They're comparing him to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't do anything at Ohio State.
Exactly. I made that comparison.
So, yeah, the situations are completely different. And then the funny thing also is
Jalen takes exception to it.
Jalen has never showed up at a press conference in Oklahoma gear. But he shows up all the time wearing Alabama gear.
And he'll clearly tell you, I went to Alabama too.
Yeah.
You know, he's been asked
I think both schools
should claim him.
But
Alabama has a legit claim to call him, you know, our first quarterback.
Oh yeah.
That has gotten to the NFC divisional championship.
Yeah. I agree. I mean,
I don't want to hear that.
He accomplished so much, and you know. He graduated from Alabama. He won a national championship, won a playoff game, won an SEC champ. I mean, he's
done it all in a crimson and white jersey.
And like I said, even after he left, when Alabama beat Tennessee, he would fire up a cigar and post about it.
Yeah.
So he claims Alabama more than he does Oklahoma, but I think both schools can have credit for.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, it's like. It's such a different situation than any other of these transfer quarterbacks. You know, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. They made their accomplishments at Oklahoma. So, yeah, they should only be referred to as Oklahoma.
Right.
But Jalen is unique, and he accomplished great things at both schools. So both schools should be proud of him and call him their own. Or one of them, not their own, but one of them.
We've never. I mean, there's very little bad blood to Jalen from Alabama alone.
No.
Certainly not our alumni base. Now, some of our lunatic fringe fans were really upset that he left, but
it was the best thing for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't blame him for leaving.
At that point in his career, Tua was the better quarterback. And
was going to be the starter.
So he needed to go somewhere where he could
perfect what he was doing.
Yeah, and improve his value for the NFL.
That's right.
So,
I love Jalen Hurts, man. I always will. He's always going to be an Alabama man to me.
Oh, yeah.
But I respect Oklahoma and
I got no problem. I got no problem with
sure.
Oklahoma claiming them also.
No, me neither.
But for them to say that Alabama has no right to claim them,
you're
wrong. They're wrong about that take.
It's mostly Georgia fans. On the social media. It's mostly Georgia fans, LSU fans, and Auburn fans trying to say that, you know, Alabama tries to claim everything. You know, we claim, you know, 75% of our national championships are phony. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
I've heard it all. So
we only claim what was recognized at the time.
Yeah, different rules, different publications.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
You take away. You go ahead and take away those 4.
I don't even think it's really 4 that are. I think it's like 2 that are really
2 legit iffies, but 4 that they say we shouldn't be claiming, which we have one, I think, in 1972 that we legitimately could claim.
Yeah, well, because they're saying, like, you know, because it used to be the national championship was awarded before the bowls.
The bowls, exactly.
Well, that's the way they did things.
That's the way they did it, exactly. So, you can't take it away. Exactly. No, but still, back to my point, you take away 4. Okay, I'll give you 4. Take away our 4.
We're still sitting on 14.
We're still got double than you, and more than that, depending on who I'm arguing with.
Right.
So I really don't care about that discussion. I think it's funny.
Right. Well, while we're talking about Alabama football, Nick's got some work to do.
Oh yeah, he does. What else is new?
Yeah, really. This is going to be the 6th offensive coordinator in the last 8 years.
It's sad, man. It's sad. And that's another thing. We've mentioned this before on this podcast, but we're getting beat up in social media by fan bases as far as our development of players and why we're dipping into the transfer portal and this and that. But this is a large reason because it's hard to find continuity.
Yeah,
and it's hard to develop players when you got coaching getting poached left and right. And that's exactly what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these coaches are not leaving because they hate being
I mean, it's
Nick
a compliment.
Saban.
It's a compliment to Nick Saban.
Exactly.
Everybody wants a piece of some of that knowledge.
And Kirby's going to feel that in the next 4 years. Georgia fans, you're going to feel that. You're going to begin to see why, you lose 10 to 15 players to the transfer portal. Oh yeah, we got all these 4 and 5 stars. Well, they can't all play. They can't all start. So you're gonna see bigger turnover, and then you're gonna be like, well, y'all always said well, they weren't that good anyway. Blah blah blah. Well, it's not that they weren't good. It's that they all want playing time.
Right.
And so you're gonna see that coaching staff's people are gonna start to want the Georgia process.
Yep.
That's all part of the success.
Yeah. Now, like I said, don't get mad. I mean, don't get mad about it. Yeah, you can be a little upset about it, but it's a compliment.
Sure.
It shows that people want some of your knowledge, some of what you've got to try to make it work for them.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, you look at how many Saban assistants are out there now, head coaches.
13.
And successful. Most of them. Some of them are struggling a little bit. All right, so
you got any names?
I mean, my first choice, which is pie in the sky, ain't never gonna happen, would be D'Amico Ryans for DC.
For DC, yeah.
And then he becomes de facto head coach in waiting.
Yeah.
So that would be my first choice. I heard a lot today of a package of Mullen on offense and Pruitt on defense.
Yeah. Now the Mullen thing, that's what I was going to talk about. Is I like that Mullen for OC for sure.
Yeah.
I like the thought.
I've never been a fan of his, but kind of going back and looking at what he has done along his offensively along his career.
Yeah, you keep him out of the head coaching job, and he might be okay.
Yeah.
Just keep his wife away from our kids. Don't want her kissing every one of them. That story. She kisses everybody on their way in the stadium.
So, yeah, on the defensive side.
Yeah, D'Amico would be nice considering he's an alum.
Yeah, like I said, I would love D'Amico.
He's destined
probably
for NFL.
Probably my second choice would be Schumann from Georgia, and then either Pruitt or Leonard.
Yeah,
would be if we get any of those four, I think we're in good shape.
Pruitt, I'm okay with now that the NIL is in place.
Right? Yeah, because I don't think it's gonna.
It's the wild, wild west out there on the recruiting trail now. So, we can't get into any real hot water. I wouldn't think. We can start really giving them Dodge Chargers out now.
But speaking of, it just made me think of something else. Did you hear Blake Corum had his Camaro stolen?
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so apparently he's got like a camo wrapped Chevy Camaro that he got with NIL money, and so it was stolen on campus today.
Uh-oh.
But anyway, you were talking about stealing or giving away cars. That made me think of it. So yeah, those would be who I would prefer defensively.
Yeah.
Offensively, I've heard Levy's name, and I'm not real high on that one.
I didn't really dig into because I didn't really hear until this morning, mid-morning, about losing O'Brien. So.
Yeah, and Kingsbury is a name that's out there, and
yeah, that's true. Cliff is out there,
and some of what I was going back and seeing who he had worked with, and he was the offense coordinator for Johnny Manziel at A&M when they came to Tuscaloosa and beat us, and Johnny won the Heisman, and and he's had some very high-powered offenses, so I think I'd be okay with him. A couple of names I've heard that I really did not like is Greg Roman that got fired for the Ravens, vanilla. Jason Garrett.
Nah.
Super vanilla.
Super vanilla, yeah. He'd probably bring the I formation back. We'll be
the wing T.
Wing T. We'll be have a fullback in the backfield, I formation with Jason Garrett. Now I'm
not sure OC wise. Like I said, probably without doing much research, 2 names, Mullen and Kingsbury.
Of
course, Leby was part of the high-powered UCF with Heupel, and he was part of the Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. So I could get on board with that one, but I just don't know if Mullen and Saban can coexist because of Mullen's ego.
Nah, I think.
Of course.
I think he can.
Of course, Nick and Lane seem to have a good relationship.
I think Mullen can come in and be a really good OC for sure. Also, let's talk a little bit about Deion, man. Colorado. I mean,
he's gonna have a secondary. That's for sure. I don't know what else he's gonna have.
He's got 2 lockdowns out there if they pan out at that level.
Yeah.
I mean, and Shador, his son's coming in immediately at quarterback. I mean, then they had a top 30 recruiting class in first 3 weeks.
I think they landed some decent transfers too.
Oh, I think they're 3rd or 4th ranked in transfers. Yeah, so I mean, I
said
all he has to do is beat 1 game.
Yeah.
To improve.
Yeah, I think he can contend, if not this year, next year.
Absolutely, and I mean, and then you think about the following year, USC and UCLA are gone.
That makes it that much easier.
And that's going to be one hell of a quarterback conference next year. The Pac, I hate to give the Pac credit, but you got Williams and Penix. You got what's his name in Utah? Uyunglele, now in Oregon State. Shador, Sanders in Colorado. That's going to be an awesome quarterback class in the Pac.
Are you actually saying something nice about West Coast football?
I have to, man. I mean, they always have good quarterbacks, but I mean, their class is going to be good. So Deion's going to have the next best thing: lockdown corners against all them quarterbacks.
Right.
I'm kind of liking it, man. I've been saying all along, I think Florida State made a huge mistake letting him walk, but at the same time, Florida State's got a lot of momentum too. So it looks like Norvell is actually going to work out in Tallahassee, but I still say Deion would have been a huge home run in Tallahassee.
Oh yeah, that he could compete for natties at Tallahassee.
I think he still will.
I don't know if he can do it at Colorado, but we'll see.
Cool.
All right. What else you got? Anything?
Nah, I think that covers everything that I mean, are we making some picks for the weekend in NFL?
I mean, I'm Eagles and Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Eagles and Bengals too. I think the Eagles are going to win going away against the Niners. I
just don't think Purdy
Mr. Irrelevant's going to struggle.
I don't think he can lead them to enough points. And both the running backs are banged up.
Yeah.
McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. And they've got the DBs to contain
their weapons.
The passing weapons, yeah. Debo and Ayuk and Kittle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Philly can slow. I mean, I think San Fran can slow Philly down, but I just don't think they can stop them enough to give Purdy and that offense a chance to outscore them. So I
got 24-10.
Yeah,
Philly.
I can see something about like that, or even 2010. Yeah, I can see something like that.
I got 24-10 Philly, and
of course the Bengals Chiefs. A lot of that is
it sucks. It
is
sucks
on
that
Mahomes.
Mahomes is probably going to be limited.
Yeah,
Chad Henne's good though. He is a really quality backup.
Good backup. Yeah,
but they obviously that's not the same as Mahomes.
Right.
So no, I think the Bengals will. I think the Bengals.
The Bengals can generate pressure without having to blitz or send extra, players. So that's what they did to them last year. It's a rematch of last year.
They're a good combination, with the two Joes.
I think Cincy's better this year than they were last year.
Agree.
And now the Chiefs, with a hurt Mahomes, you got to figure they're a little bit worse than they were last year. The Bengals went in there last year and beat them. I don't see any reason why they can't do that again.
Yeah, so I agree.
And I don't know how sexy of a Super Bowl Bengals versus the Eagles is.
I mean, I think if you strip it down, if you don't really focus on the jersey and the name, but if you strip it down to the players, I mean, I think it's a sexy Super Bowl, man.
Could be a good matchup.
A lot of good names, man. A lot of fun players to watch. I mean, I think the Bengals are going to lose again, though. I really do. I think the Eagles are
this is the Phillies
I just
year?
think Philly's just too solid, man. They're just too solid all the way around.
Yeah, they looked good as hell this past weekend, but there again, I think that they exposed the Giants for what the Giants really are. A team
we didn't think the Giants would get that far, and they exceeded our expectations, and so I didn't think, I forget what I picked. I picked 31-21.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of thought the Giants would put up a little bit more of a fight than that, but Philly just clicked on all cylinders from the get-go.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of – I don't think they tried to get Saquon involved in it, because really Philly's biggest weakness is their run defense. And, we came out throwing, and I think they should have been trying to run a little bit more.
I don't know how you don't get Saquon involved. He's your best player. Yeah. I mean, I just don't. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But I mean, I've seen offensive coordinators overthink it like that.
Right. Well, and then you're in a hole, and then you got no choice.
No choice, and now you're one dimensional.
Exactly.
And now you're at the mercy of defensive coordinator.
Yep. So it got away and got
chess
ugly.
Match got ugly quick.
It did. All right. Well, good deal. Good conversation. I know we
a little depressing early on.
I know we kind of were all over the place. I mean, but that's what we wanted when we created this podcast. We just go where the conversation takes us. So that's what happened.
That's right.
So all right, let's like I said earlier, I've got Elvis Tiger Man whiskey over there waiting for us. Yep. So let's go over there and try that, and then we'll rate that shit. See you at the bar.